Hi, my name is Terry, and I am with Gateway to Counseling. Excuse me. I am going to be talking today about child rearing, but I am going to talk about the topic of raising children when they're an adult. And you're thinking, I'm done. They're adults, and I'm completely finished. But it doesn't happen that way. Um, First of all, my name is Terry. I have 25 years of providing counseling services to individuals and couples and families. And I am a licensed professional counselor. I actually have a master's in clinical psychology. And so today I wanted to just provide some information and education about rearing children. So you might have seen some of my other videos where we talk about the foundational years, we talk about the adolescent years. I think that being a parent of an adult can be very, very difficult. Why are you saying that, Terry? Well, let's think about this for a moment. When you first have your baby, it's all new. It's a struggle sometimes. You're learning new things, and do you do it the way your mom did it? Do you do it the way your spouse parents did it? Do you do it the way your aunt did it? Do you listen to the people on TV? What? So you have all these different things that you're learning when you first have a child. But everything that you're learning, you're in control of. Every single part of it. You decide what food they're going to eat. You decide what clothes they're going to wear, who they're going to play with, who their friends are going to be. You decide all of that, right? And even as they get older, you start to struggle with some of those control issues, but you still are controlling. Let's say, for example, little Johnny wants to go outside and play with Bobby, right? And you don't like Bobby's parents. Bobby's parents are a little, I don't think so. I think they do some drugs. They have some different beliefs than we do. And, they're a different skin color than us. And I don't know if I want you outside playing with Bobby. And you can just say, no, you're not going outside and play with Bobby. And then they start going to the same school, right? And so your kid is around Bobby. But they don't have to play once they get home. You can control all that. You can control the activities that they do. And then they get into the adolescent years, and they're in high school, and they have a car, and they have friends that have cars. And Bobby still lives across the street. And Johnny's always wanted to be friends with Bobby, and actually they were friends. You just didn't know about it. And so now you start to see them doing more and more things together, and you start to put your foot down. You're not driving that car. I'm not giving you a car. You're not going to have that car unless you do things my way, right? You're not going to do A, B, C unless you do things my way. And a lot of parents parent that way. It's this control. It's this forced control. And of course, when your kids are young, you have to control the environment, right? To a large extent. But I also encourage you to let them have some freedom and some independence to learn their own way, not just your way. Because and I know that our parents' way wasn't always the right way. So maybe your way isn't the right way. So let them have some freedom to start to explore. But when they become adults, you have no control anymore. And some of you try to get that control again. I was listening to someone just the other day, and she was saying, I'm helping them to buy a house. But if they want my money, my $50,000, my down payment, I'm paying the down payment. If they want that money from me, they're going to get a house where I want them to get a house. And I'm going to be in control of what they pick and select, right? Well, I understand that a little bit. It's your money. But maybe it shouldn't be your money. Maybe you should just let them make their own decisions. This happens a lot when your kids go out and decide to get married, and the parents are paying for different parts of the wedding, right? And so you think, well, if I'm paying for this, it's my money, you're going to do things my way. Yeah, I understand. It is your money. It is. But it's your child's wedding. It's not your wedding. You don't get a second chance to do your wedding all over again. If you want a second wedding, then have a second wedding. You and your spouse can renew your vows, right? Anytime you want to. And you can have this elaborate, wedding and party if you want to. But this is your child's wedding. And so give them that control. If you don't feel you can do that, then don't give them the money. I know that's a balance, right? But you have to make that decision. But I think it is very difficult to parent an adult child because we're so used to being in control. We're so used to those beginning years where we said everything and it was done. And if you had that perfect child that listened to everything, that was awesome. They didn't question you. They just did what mom and dad said because they knew mom and dad was right and had their best interest. But when they become adults, they don't know that anymore. They don't want to do things your way. They want to do things their way. I see this a lot when young adults are having their first children, their first kids, right? And the grandparents want to come in and say the way you should do things. No, you should feed them this. Well, back in my day, we did it this way. And there become battles and struggles. You walk into your child's house. They have their apartment or they have their first starter home. And you look around and you're like, ugh, do I really want to be here? But it is their home. And they decide how they want things to be done. I think the most difficult part is when you have an adult child that's making really bad decisions. That's when it becomes very difficult because you can't protect them anymore. You love them, you want them to have a good life, and they keep making bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. I think one of the biggest issues that I see is when you have an adult child who is using drugs. Let's take the easy way. They're on marijuana. They're smoking marijuana. It's legal in certain states, right? And your child insists that nothing's wrong with smoking weed. And they think it's okay. And you're sitting there trying to allow your adult child to be an adult and to make their own decisions. You don't agree with them smoking marijuana. You don't think it's healthy. You don't think it's right. You see all the consequences that happen from them smoking marijuana, but they don't. They don't. Maybe they're a young adult and they don't have their own place and they're living from person to person and sometimes sleeping in their car because they can't keep a stable job. Because everyone nowadays do drug screens, right? And so maybe they went to college and you paid for them to go to college and they came out with a liberal arts degree or whatever it may be. And you're sitting there going, oh my God, what are we going to do? Johnny is smoking weed, I think every day. Every time I see him, he's high. If he's not high in the morning, then he's going to be high in the afternoon. He doesn't work. He can't keep a car. He can't keep a job. How's he going to eat? And our concern for our kids makes us feel handicapped, right? What am I going to do to make them understand? And some of you out there will bail them out over and over and over. Well, I'm just going to give them some money because they need to pay their rent this month. They're going to be kicked out. I don't want them living back with me, right? But I can't have my child homeless. I can't have my child, with no food. So you continue to take care of your child, even though they're an adult, even though they're the ones making the bad decisions. You see them maybe inappropriately disciplining their children. And you think, what am I going to do? That's a tough one, isn't it? If the inappropriate discipline is causing physical damage to that child, emotional damage, then you might have to take your child to the side and say, we can't have this. This is on the edge of being abusive. I know some parents who have called Child Protective Services on their adult children because they felt that their grandkids were being exposed to things that were inappropriate. Anything from sexual abuse, physical abuse, drug use. Sometimes you have to make that decision that you have to protect your grandkids from their parents. But not every situation is like that. Sometimes it's just you don't think the discipline is appropriate. Well, have that conversation with your adult child. Talk about why they're doing it that way. Maybe there's a lack of understanding on your part or their part, right? Maybe they're just highly frustrated and they need maybe just 1 day a week to themselves. Maybe they just need 4 or 5 hours to themselves to do nothing. Maybe you can help in that regard. Maybe you can suggest some things that can be done so that they can have some quiet time, because maybe they are feeling really overwhelmed. And I'm not going to ever suggest that you begin to parent your grandchildren. I don't believe in that, because then that's allowing another escape, right? But there can be some balance in there. There can be some help in there. What I want to make very clear is that we as adult parents of adult children have to allow them to have their life. That means, guys, that sometimes they are going to make some really bad decisions and they are going to fall flat on their faces. And you're going to have to watch them. I know parents, when we sit down and talk about this topic, we look at what's the worst case scenario that can happen. What's the worst thing that can happen? They're going to lose their home. They're going to lose their home because they're making really bad decisions. Well, they're going to lose their home. Okay. And they're going to have to find some place to live. And an option is not coming back into your house, right? Because you tried to help them. You tried to educate them. You sat down and you had open dialogue about what you saw coming. And if they chose to do something different because they're just outright being opposition or resistant, then you have to let them have their life. You have to let them experience consequences for their actions. And I'm sorry, but some of you might have a child that's addicted to drugs and you're worried about them dying. That's extremely hard. It's extremely hard. But are they listening to you any other way? Are they? You've tried what you thought was best. You sought outside counsel. You've gone to your spirituality place and you sought guidance and you're doing what you think is best. But if that child, adult child, won't listen to you, then you can't do anything else. There are times that I talk with parents on this topic and a decision is made that you have given your adult child a good foundation, a solid foundation. They know right from wrong. They know how to make good decisions. They are well equipped They have just chosen to do something different. And you have to let them do them. And you have to feel at peace about that. You have to be secure in your decision to let them live their own lives. And yes, that means stumble and fall. And no, you do not rescue them. You do not save them. I'm sorry, you don't. You don't save them. Because if you bail them out once, you're going to be bailing them out forever and ever. Amen. So, I understand that it's difficult to allow your adult children to be adults. I would encourage you to let them learn some of these lessons when they're adolescents and you still have a little say about things, right? You can, when they're 16 years old, allow them to start having some small adult decisions. For example, at 16, they can get a job. Let them have a job. Let them learn what it's like to balance between work and play. It's good to learn that, right? It's learning good money management. It's learning how to, be upset with your boss but still have to go to work the next day. Start teaching those things. Start letting them go out with their friends. Give them trust tasks. I call them trust tasks. Let them go and make decisions about who they're going to hang around sometimes. Yes, you want to have some parameters in there. You want to have some safeguards in there. For example, okay, yes, you can go out with Bobby who lives across the street and y'all can drive in the car because you're 17 years old and next year you're going to college. He's going to be doing it anyway. Let him start doing it at home where you can monitor what's going on, where you can make sure that there are safeguards, that you make sure that he comes home at a decent time and he's safe, right? Those are hard things to do, but I promise you that if you laid a good foundation when they were 0 to 5, and then you start giving them trust tasks and letting them feel what it's like to be an adult and making adult decisions as adolescents, it will be a whole lot easier. Not easy, but a lot easier when they are adults. So again, my name is Terry and I am with Gateway to Counseling. Please, if you need anything, we are here. We are your objective friends. We're just a screen away. Please enter into our gates for a brighter tomorrow where you are in control. Bye-bye.